If you have played role-playing games, then you are probably familiar with errata. Likewise, board gamers have usually seen an FAQ, which is confusingly sometimes at the back of the rulebook. These are usually one-off issues because these products are relatively fixed. In the world of customizable card games, an FAQ is a much more significant document. A key part of a living card game is that the rules are alive and growing and changing too. The mechanics of a customizable card game are such that each card can potentially change the rules in a specific instance. This is why you have a golden rule in most games, in that the text on a card takes precedence over the written rules. This is all very well, but what happens when one card changes the rules this way and another changes them that way? This is where an FAQ can help you out. Most problems come when card A and card B are designed years apart. This is why your FAQ must change and adapt with each new release of cards. A customizable card game is designed in blocks. A block is a group of products designed to be played together. Fantasy Flight Games likes to use the word cycle for its groups, but in the Arkham Horror LCG, these are called campaigns. In a customizable card game, old blocks are usually pushed out as new ones come in, meaning the size of your card pool for deck building stays the same. This is called rotation, but you have to constantly keep buying new cards because that is what the publisher needs to do to make money. This model means you have a finite amount of interactions, so your FAQ can be updated each block and stay about the same size. With a living card game, your card pool just grows, so your FAQ needs to grow and address all the weird interactions 2 and 3 years down the line. Let's take a look back at the first FAQ released for our game. Because this isn't Fantasy Flight's first living card game, they have developed a style in which they present their documents. This means it's easy for us to understand and predict how it will grow in future. These are only available as PDF downloads from their website, so you will only know when a new one appears by keeping an eye on their news page, as there is usually a handy article from the designer. They do have a news RSS feed you can subscribe to though, which may or may not work with your browser, but let's have a closer look ourselves. First, we have the title page with the familiar art, so you can see at a glance which game this is for. This is actually the most important page, so we'll come back to this later. Moving on, we learn that there are 5 sections. The first section is for proper errata, so if a card or rule was misprinted, you will find the correction here. Likewise, if they've had to permanently replace rules for whatever reason, then you will find it here. And you need to get used to this happening in customizable card games. It will also let you know when that change took place. See, all of these say FAQ 1.0. If we skip ahead, we can see that new entries have been added in version 2, 3 and 4. Plus, when referencing a particular card, it now gives you the symbol of the expansion it is from and its number in that expansion, as opposed to an acronym. Plus, they are listed in order of release, with the core box cards appearing first. Section 2 is definition and terms. In this type of game, some words are given special meanings and rules to follow when you see them. Keywords, for example, have their own rules. Things like investigator or enemy have definitions, and even the word you has now been given precise definitions. If a phrase appears here, it is no longer part of normal language, but has specific instructions or conditions attached. Part the third is rulings and clarifications. This is the trickiest section, which is where changes to the rules can happen, but they aren't a straightforward replacement like errata. If a situation comes up that wasn't defined in the rulebook, so a new rule has to be created, you will find it here. Likewise, if a rule isn't wrong, but doesn't explain what it covers very well, or additional situations have arisen that it needs to cover, they will be listed here. And best of all, there are some examples of those rules in use. The penultimate section is frequently asked questions. If you are a good game designer, you keep an eye on the internet to see what topics about your game are coming up often. If you are a big publisher, you will have a customer service department that can answer rules questions. And hopefully these people will tell you what answers they are cutting and pasting most. This is just a big list of the stuff that some players are confused about, and it is the section that grows the most. You might find a question that you have in here. Finally, we have the quick reference section. The rules reference is designed for you to look up individual topics. With only a finite number of index entries, it can be hard to know where to look, and your answer may be contained under more than one heading. The idea of this section is that it pulls all the rules about a particular topic together in one place to save on your page flipping. It can also direct you where to go in the rules reference for the rules that cover such an instance. And it makes a great dumping ground for miscellaneous things like the names of the chaos tokens. You can keep the FAQ on your mobile device or print it out and try and remember what parts have changed. You can cut out sections, particularly the errata, and stick them over the rules. Or you can mark the rules that have changed. A good thing to do is put the version of the FAQ and page number so you can quickly refer to it. Now it's back to the title page, which we told you was the most important. When a new FAQ comes out, it will contain all the information from the previous FAQ. This is great, as it means you don't have to have a dozen different documents to look through each time a ruling is needed. Every time the document is revised, the new text is added in a different colour, so you can immediately see what has changed in this iteration. The changes are also listed in brief on the title page, along with the version number. This way you can be sure you have the most up-to-date edition and see if there is anything which is potentially going to affect your next game and you need to read it now. 18 months after the first FAQ was released, we are now on version 4, and this document has grown from 6 pages to 11 pages. Is this a bad sign of the rules showing strain? Or is this a good sign that the designers are working hard to keep things as clear as possible? You decide. Customizable card games are usually played competitively and often for money. When you are giving away $250,000 in prize money, your rules have to be intricately specific to prevent any kind of mistake and the resulting lawsuit. Even though this game is not the same kind of animal, there is an organised play aspect to it, and people may win promo cards, playmats, or maybe a ticket for another event. It is therefore important that everyone understand the rules and they are able to be applied fairly when such rewards are being given out. But if you are playing at home for fun, don't get too hung up on intricate timing issues. If you find yourself spending more time looking up the rules than actually playing the game, then that doesn't sound good. Or is this a good sign that the